Terrebonne Parish.
Wow, awesome. When you talk about freshening up water, how important is that when you're talking about regrowing the marsh and all behind that, right? We've all heard of saltwater intrusion, but this will kind of freshen things up, huh?
It's so important. I mean, that fresh water, that nutrient supply that's in the fresh water is really what nurtures the vegetation in your wetlands. And so the more salt water that you have intrude into the marsh, that's when you start to see your vegetation decline, your vegetation die off. And so it's important to have that freshwater input to make sure that we're nourishing the vegetation and helping sustain the marsh in the area.
Yeah, very important. Obviously, before we had levees, people take horses out to the last island. So yeah, it's made a difference. So let's talk about Cheniere and Caminada breakwaters, the Grand Isle breakwaters.
So I know a lot of residents in the Bayou region have camps in Grand Isle, one of the most special places in South Louisiana, really what makes the Sportsman's Paradise what it is. But it's also an area that has continued to be battered as a result of recent hurricanes. And the Cheniere Caminada breakwaters, we've got about 6 additional breakwaters that are being constructed just right near the bridge going into Grand Isle, near Caminada Pass, just to help protect that portion of Grand Isle. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this about Grand Isle. As a result of working with our congressional delegation and the Corps of Engineers, we've got about $122 million to restore Grand Isle to what it was prior to Hurricane Zeta, which, if you remember, was a hurricane in 2020, which
Right.
impacted southeast Louisiana. But we're not stopping there with $122 million. We're going to be working with our congressional delegation, the Biden administration, the Corps of Engineers, to look at providing rocks across the entire perimeter of Grand Isle on the Gulf side, and then continuing the breakwaters on the bay side as well, on the back side. And then really looking at that burrito levee on the front end. We've got to have a more resilient flood protection structure on the Gulf side of that island, because right now that sand is just washing away when the tide
Every
comes
time,
in.
right.
So I think breakwaters and additional levee protection around Grand Isle has got to be a priority.
Well, anybody that's been to Grand Isle and has been to the eastern side and seen what the breakwaters have done, that water used to be right underneath camps. Now you got to take a golf cart to get to it. If we could do it on the west side, obviously that would be a great answer. And
Right.
That's what you're trying to do, right?
That's right. I remember when we flew down to Grand Isle after Hurricane Ida, we came in from the east, and I remember the governor coming on the headpiece on the helicopter and was like, wow, this isn't so bad, because the eastern end of the island where
Right.
all the rocks were, it actually proved to be quite it wasn't nearly as damaged. A lot of debris damage, don't
Right.
get me wrong, but as far as the surge and the flooding aspects of it weren't nearly as bad.
Yeah, no, we always talk, why don't we just build rocks across the whole entire state of Louisiana? That would be a good way to do things. But I know how expensive it is. I know everybody will be fired up. We're going to take one more break. We'll be right back with Chip Klein right after this on Bayou Time.
Hey, Jess, it's the end of the year. You know what that means.
Is it time for Mardi Gras?
No, it's time for the Red Tag year-end event. It's your chance to save on every car and truck on the lot, plus get additional rebates on most new cars.
And remember, no credit, bad credit, we can help. We say yes when others say no.
And we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. AJ Doman Chevrolet at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge in Berwick.
This is the Treeinator. I'm back. If you have some sick old girly tree, chop it now before the hurricane kills it and blows it on your house. Don't hire some out-of-town girly man to hustle you out of your hard-earned money. Tell them, hasta la vista, baby. Let me and my team of military veterans come and pump your tree up and prepare a defensive position for future threats. Even if your tree is behind enemy lines and the bullets are flying and the bombs are going off, we will get your tree down.
U-Drop Shipping and Crating Pros is a highly versatile company that will ship any size, any weight, anywhere. U-Drop Shipping and Crating Pros is a full-service logistics provider focused on expert packing, crating, and transportation solutions. The local oil and gas industry utilizes our professional crating and shipping services that support their offshore and international needs. U-Drop Shipping and Crating Pros is authorized and recognized to construct shipping crates built for exports. U-Drop Shipping and Crating Pros, now at our new location at Capitol Boulevard.
I feel so overwhelmed. Being a mom, wife, employee, and now a teacher is exhausting. How do I keep my family safe from everything going on in the world?
Do any of these thoughts sound familiar to you? If so, you are not alone. The South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority offers support, counseling, and treatment geared at helping you where you are right now in the midst of this pandemic and your own personal crisis. The South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority, helping people, changing lives.
I have something for you.
I have something for you too.
It's the holidays. Get 3.9% APR and no monthly payments for 90 days on turbo high-output engine Sierra light-duty models. See your local GMC dealer.
At Big Wheels Travel Center, the fun and excitement are just around the corner in Bayou Blue. Big Wheels is open 24 hours a day and features 24-hour security, clean restrooms, and a wide selection of beer, soft drinks, and chips for all your needs. While you're there, visit the casino for daily cash prizes and drink specials 7 days a week. You'll get the feeling as if you're in a lush Vegas-style casino. Big Wheels also has one of the largest subways in the area. So stop by Big Wheels Travel Center, where everyone's a winner.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Harry McCullough. We've been speaking with Chip Klein, who is the CPRA chairman and director, and of course the executive assistant to the governor for coastal activities. Chip, thank you so much. We've been recapping all the work that's been going on in the area and taking the video tour of a lot what's happening. But last week was kind of a milestone for what we're all trying to do down here, as the feds have finally joined the party, right?
Look, last Friday was a day that was 30 years in the making. Morganza to the Gulf was authorized back in 1992.
It was like Tozan Bro, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's a blast from the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but every single project that you see that has been constructed in Morganza to the Gulf, along the Morganza to the Gulf levee alignments, has been funded by the people of Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes and the CPRA at the state of Louisiana. When H&C Lock is completed, over $1 billion worth of work will be on the ground. And last Friday, we did a groundbreaking, and it is the first component of Morganza to the Gulf that will be constructed with federal money. It's a floodgate on the Humboldt Canal. And so it's far past time for the federal government to show up, but we are glad they're finally here.
Yeah, welcome aboard. We do appreciate it. And, this is the energy corridor, right? And that's our coast. We certainly don't want to move, and, to start restoring all these projects really helps out for a lot of folks. And I think you're right. I think the feds know how important this area is, but they was like, well, they're paying for it themselves. Let them handle it.
Well, that's one of the things that I said at the groundbreaking is that it doesn't matter if you are Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Senator Schumer. There is something about Morganza to the Gulf that is important to you, whether it's oil and gas or alternative sources of energy, whether it's hurricane protection or coastal restoration or climate adaptation or equity, environmental justice. It checks the box across the political spectrum. Mm-hmm. And that's the beautiful thing about Morganza to the Gulf, and I think why it's such an attractive project that needs to be completed.
Right. And this area, just the natural resources, as you said, not only one of the world's biggest ports, coming in and out of New Orleans, yep. The oil and gas, the 20% of the natural gas and oil comes right through Fouchon, the seafood industry that's here. So we've got a lot of natural resources that could use a little protection here.
As we say, South Louisiana literally feeds and fuels this country.
Yeah. So
it's worth protecting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Everybody likes the outcome of down here. Not everybody wants to go through it, but everybody enjoys what's going on for sure. So glad to have the feds involved. We know they move a little slower. Will this be the beginning, kind of the opening the spigot of more things to come from the feds?
I sure hope so. I mean, so we got the $378 million as a result of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the infrastructure bill that was passed by Congress. And so that was the largest tranche of money to date. And then this year, we got an additional $31 million from the Fed. So I'm hoping that that federal spigot is now turned on, that it's not going to be turned off anytime soon. But one of the things that I want the residents of Terrebonne and Lafourche parishes to know is that just because that federal spigot is turned on does not mean that the state spigot is going to be turned off. And so we're going to continue working with your levee district directors, Tony Alford, Reggie Dupree, Corey Keefe, Dwayne Bourgeois, Wendell Curall, all of those guys that have really dedicated their entire career to protecting the people who live and work in the Bayou region. And so that's just going to continue to be a priority for us at CPRA.
Yeah, you're talking about Reggie and Wendell, you know, they got a second career going around talking to other people that are trying to figure out, hey, how did y'all start doing that? So I know they've been so influential around here, and now they're trying to help other areas do that as well. We did have one more video that we wanted to update, and that's the Jimmy DeGate flood control structure. That's out of Faugu Canal, and that's part of the Morgans to the Gulf system.
That's right. So you got the Jimmy DeGate, which is exactly right on Faugu Canal, but you also have a similar structure. The Jimmy DeGate it's the Grand Bayou floodgate on Grand Bayou. So both of these structures are now in place. You can close them with a push of a button. And so these are the types of projects that we're talking about. Not just earthen levees, but these structures that can be closed, it can be open for navigational purposes, that are keeping water out of your house. And so I know we've got Jimmy DeGate on the screen there, which is actually named after Jimmy DeGate, who was very instrumental and very involved in the protection aspects of Terrebonne Parish. But on Grand Bayou, which was a $20 million floodgate that the state funded, I'll never forget, we had Terrebonne Levee District call during Hurricane Delta and say, we need to sink a barge between Reach K and Reach L of Morganza because there was a gap in the protection. And we submerged that barge, and thank God we did. Mm-hmm. But now, as a result of the $20 million that we recently invested, again, you can close that structure with a push of a button. And so that's what progress looks like. That's what people want to see. They want to see projects on the ground. They want to see dirt turning. And so that is a result of the $1.3 billion that the CPRA is moving out of the door, which is the record number of investments in coastal restoration and hurricane protection in the history of the state's coastal program.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we're starting to see them get their money back, right? I mean, just from a couple of years ago, you had 15,000 homes flooded, and that same water level recently, you had maybe 2 or 3. So making a big difference. You don't always see it because you're not spending the money, but there has been making a difference. So Chip Klein, I sure appreciate your time and appreciate you updating us on everything that's going on. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you for having me on. It's good to be with you, and Merry Christmas to everyone in the Bayou region.
Same to you, Chip. We'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.
Pay below MSRP at Barker Mazda.
That's right. Pay below MSRP on your new Mazda today.
Check us out online at barkermazda.com or come see us at Barker Mazda in Houma.
Led by a 7-member commission, the Terrebonne Port was created to assist our local industry in promoting economic development. We monitor government regulations that affect our local industry and work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to secure maintenance dredging funds. Because the HNC is the main artery for the heartbeat of Terrebonne's economy, Terrebonne Port fights a constant battle for funding to maintain the federally authorized navigable depth. We are now leasing waterfront and non-waterfront property. Terrebonne Port Commission, serving our industry to keep Terrebonne thriving.
If your business needs serious hustle, our internet has plenty. Switch to Rev Business All-Fiber Internet with fiber optic velocity close to the speed of light. Sign up and get 3 months free and 30% off. Build your plan at letsrev.biz. Let's Rev. Whoever said you can't have it all, never had internet that could do it all. Switch to Rev. No contracts, no data caps, no nonsense. It's the high-speed internet you need. Build your plan at letsrev.com. Let's Rev.
Surprise! It's a new Buick.
You got me a new Buick?
Oh, and there are more gifts inside.
You got me the head-up display.
Wow! The massaging seat.
Okay, what next?
Alexa, turn on holiday lights.
This year, give the gift of technology in every Buick SUV.
It's the holidays. Get 3.99% APR and no monthly payments for 90 days on these Buick SUV models. See your local Buick dealer.
Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
With over 26 years of experience, our offer team is your solution for quality and proven coverage.
The customer service you remember from years ago is what we pride our team on.
We know how important your company is to the community.
From small businesses to large businesses, Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Here at South Louisiana Bank, we support our neighbors, the organizers, the helpers, the leaders, the dreamers. We support those that move our community forward. Louisiana has grown from the dedication, commitment, and loyalty of the people who call this beautiful place home. We are proud to offer our services to the communities in South Louisiana. South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together.
Pay below MSRP at Terrebonne Lincoln.
That's right. Order your new Lincoln today and pay below MSRP.
Plus, lock in a low monthly rate. So come see us at Terrebonne Lincoln in Houma.
When John the Baptist heard in prison of the works of Christ, he sent his disciples to Jesus with the question, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we look for another?" Jesus said to them in reply, "Go and tell John what you see and hear. The blind regain their sight, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the good news proclaimed to them. And blessed is the one who takes no offense at me." As they were going off, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out into the desert to see? A reed swayed by the wind? Then what did you go out to see? Someone dressed in fine clothing? Those who wear fine clothing are in royal palaces. Then why did you go out? To see a prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, 'Behold, I am sending my messenger ahead of you. He will prepare your way before you.' Amen, I say to you, among those born of women, there has been none greater than John the Baptist. Yet the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he is." Hello and welcome to Closer Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Baye, your host, and we're so glad that you can join us today on this third week of Advent. Our Lord asked the questions. What did you go out to see? What are you looking for? We've all heard those jokes. The one who finds, the magic lamp and the genie comes out and they give you 3 wishes and that sort of thing. And today our Lord asks the question, what are you looking for? The Spanish have a proverb that says, "Watch what you ask for. God may just give it to you." And so we've been talking about preparing the way of the Lord. We're just a couple weeks out from Christmas, and we're wondering what it means to prepare for that salvation event. What are we looking for? I don't know that most people know how to answer that question. for myself, you know, we all get taken up with the goings on in the world. And you look around the world and you go, my gosh, everything is such a mess. And people are so unhappy. You know, I keep watching these videos on television of the crime wave. And you got someone walking along a subway platform and someone just comes and runs and throws them in front of a train. Not their arch enemy, not someone who's mad at them, but just throws them in front of a train. I see these bands of young people just going on the street and attacking someone. I mean, and savagely beating them. 3 or 4 kids attacking one person. I mean, this savage beating. And you go, what's that all about? Okay, maybe you got a purse with a couple $100s in it or a wallet with a few $100s in it. What are you so angry about? What is the world so angry about? Do you realize that today, in 2022, there are over 755 million displaced people in the world. When I'm talking about displaced, I'm talking about living in a desert or in an area in some type of tent, if you're lucky, open latrines, waiting on airdrops for food. Due to political violence or religious persecution, 755 million people displaced. That's taken the entire population of the United States twice and putting them out to live on their wit somewheres in the open air. Why does that happen? You know, you'd think in 2,000 years, we've grown to call ourselves civilization. And we're civilized people. But I don't think when you look around, we are as civilized as we pretend to be. We may be technologically advanced, and we may be able to have people in outer space and report back stuff. Our problem is not what we can do in outer space. Our problem is our inability to live with each other on Earth. And it's really, really very tragic that we live in a world like we do. Aside from the 755 million displaced people throughout the world, we have over 50 million human slaves today. People sold into human slavery. And we have today, in 2022, more slaves than we had in the 400 years of the African slave trade. Now, most of the slaves are not being forced to work in cane fields or cotton fields. 89.5% of those people are being sold into the sex trade. Among the other 10.5% of slaves, those are being in forced labor, and oftentimes it crosses over to sexual abuse. But it's either forced labor or organ procurement. People in third world countries living and not able to survive, deciding to sell some type of organ that they may have two of to make money for their family to live off of to someone who's wealthy and a first world nation. Many years ago, when I was working in Calcutta, I had a man that I was very close to, and he worked at the parish where I was as a gatekeeper. And his 16-year-old son was out and got hit by a car. You got to understand, you know, all the kids didn't have their cell phones. There's 27 million people in this city. No one knew what was going on. And anyway, he gets hit by a car, and they rush him to some clinic to fix his leg. And in the process of fixing his legs, a doctor comes in and steals his cornea in his eye. And he does such a poor job of the surgery. He got the cornea, but in terms of cleaning out the eye got all infected. He lost the eye and was in danger of losing the other eye because of the extreme amount of infection. And luckily, I was able to pay for a surgery to clean out the infection and save this child's eye. But some doctor stole his cornea. We have people making livings off of selling baby parts. And you think, oh, how horrible, how terrible those people in Calcutta they must have been. We have underground videos here in the United States of people with abortion clinics saying, if you can't make $32,000 a week off of baby parts, then you don't know what you're doing. They were not just aborting babies, they were selling baby parts. And you go, you call this civilized? Just because we've got a computer and we can probably stream anything we want across the world in real time, and you think that's what civilization is? And this question about what